You're listening to Smart to Death Radio.
Hey everybody, it's the interview queen Alicia Toot here, and you are currently listening to and obviously enjoying Queen's Court.
Hi, I'm the Asian sensation Kanji. You're listening to Queen's Court.
Hi guys, this is the Queen of Queen's Visage talking, and I am so happy to introduce you to the Queen's Court.
All right, everyone, welcome to this episode of Queeny Chats with your girl, the Queen of Any. And I have a super special guest today. My pals over at Ringsiders Pod had this gentleman on for a chat and said, tagged some people and said, y'all should talk to him. And low-key, I've been wanting to, but I'm really excited it's happening today. I have a whole lot of dude, the heavy cruiserweight, Crash Jaxon. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing as good as one can be with everything, with all the quarantine and everything that's going on at the moment.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Oh, being stuck. I love my roommates and stuff, but being stuck in the house all the time is taxing.
Yeah, it's difficult for sure, and it's hard to believe too. Looking at the calendar, right? It's May 9th, and we've been in here for like 2 months. It's been a long time.
I feel like it should be May.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like it should still be March.
I know. Time is weird because it feels like it's been about 4 years in quarantine, but in reality, it's been 60 some or almost 60 days. But man, it definitely doesn't feel like it should be May. It feels like I need like a little reset button. I don't know about you, but I want to reset.
Just the full, just go ahead and skip to 2021 and just redo.
I know. Forget it. Erase it. Move on.
You guys.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah, it's absolute craziness. And, I am glad, though, that it's given, you and I an opportunity to chat. And, we have to find some silver linings, but it is crazy. Like, how are you doing with all of this crazy insanity?
As good as I can, constantly having to find something new to watch on Netflix or and trying to stay in shape with the gyms being closed. Luckily, I have a home gym in my garage, so that helps. Not getting as much in-ring cardio because with everything, but here the last few weeks we've been able to reopen up the OI4K Academy with having limited number of students come in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's allowed me to be able to get in the ring a little bit so I'm not so rusty whenever we come back.
Well, hey, that's good at least that you were able to get in there for something. But I know I feel like we've been all searching for new shows and new things to watch and get into. What have you been binging?
Dave on Hulu,
Yep.
Little Dicky. I love that show. I'm so ready for season 2 already. I rewatched The Office again.
My favorites.
Parks and Rec, rewatched that already. Just started watching Community. I don't know why it took me so long to watch it, but I love it. There's another show called All American on Netflix that I just started watching, and that's really good. Also, just started watching The Outer Banks. That's also really good. My stepdad put me onto that. And,
nice.
But I don't know how long we're going to be kind of stuck in quarantine, so I'm going to run out of those eventually. It's too soon to rewatch some of them already.
I know. Well, I could put you on to Ozark. Have you watched Ozark yet?
I have not. I've heard really good things about it though.
Yeah, put that on your list. It's got 3 seasons up there, so it'll take you a little bit to get through. I mean, it's not, as accomplished as a vet show like The Office with all those seasons, but
well, I feel like you're underestimating my binge powers.
I don't underestimate anybody's binge powers because I finished series in a week. So
I've just started watching Community 3 or 4 days ago, and I'm already on the 5th season.
Oh, damn. So you're committed. You're one of those. All right.
Yep.
You a real one. Not that I expect anything less, but hey, we got to do something in this crazy time. And other than binging, like we've been video gaming and like trying to Zoom hang out with happy hour with people. That's about it.
Yep.
I know.
So many games of Madden and Call of Duty.
Oh, I can imagine. That's what we're doing here. We're playing Call of Duty, Super Smash Brothers, Mortal Kombat.
I need the new
It's been
Mortal
going
Kombat.
crazy. What's that?
I need the new Mortal Kombat.
You really do. It's actually so good. The graphics are crazy. It's just blood. It looks like it's 3D in a way, like coming out at you. It's awesome.
That's tight.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. It seems like a strange thing, but there was a time pre-quarantine and, you know, so much has changed and I'm hoping soon we can get somewhat back to normal. I know all of us fans miss wrestling just as much as, and, you know, you guys more for sure, but so we want y'all to be back soon. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I want everyone to be safe and healthy too. So it's tough, right? It's a tough thing.
So it's so tough because like it's almost like there's like no end in sight because we have like these expectations of like when everything might get back to normal,
Mhm.
but and that could change in a snap of a finger in like a day. So you don't want to like be so hopeful that like, oh, maybe we'll be back in June or whatever, but that could change by
Mhm.
tomorrow, and then it's pushed back to September. So just trying to stay positive but also at the same time be realistic,
Right.
because you don't want to get your hopes too up. So then whenever like if something changes for the worse, you're not going to be that disappointed.
That's a really good mindset, though. That's healthy, you know? Have a little bit of hope and not too much so you're not crushed and disappointed. But keeping that realism intact. But before there was quarantine, all right, before there was all this craziness, obviously you're taking the Midwest and other areas by storm here, honey. And I've been loving what I've been seeing from you in 2019. And obviously I was hoping for more in 2020, but here we are. But that's okay. Soon there'll be more. It'll be all right. Well, eventually it will. But I've always been kind of curious as to like, what was it one day when you woke up and decided like this wrestling is for me? Like I have to do this. What was that moment for you?
Well, it was whenever I was a kid, I always wanted to be a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching wrestling in the 90s with my dad, and a large part of my family, we all watched the pay-per-views every time it came on. Big, huge family get-together. Watched them. There's like 30 head of people crammed in the living room watching and just fighting and arguing about who's going to win and who's not going to win. But then I kind of like took a detour away from wrestling there for probably about over a decade because I started watching football and I fell in love with that. And so then I started playing football, and I played football all through like the end parts of elementary school, middle school, high school. I played some in college. And then I coached football for 3 years. And then since I was done with football after a couple of years in college, I needed to do something like athletically because my whole life I've done sports and athletics, and I needed to like fill that void because I wasn't getting to like play football. So I found wrestling through a local like independent promotion near my hometown, and luckily I had a buddy that I graduated high school with. He was wrestling, so I hit him up and I was like, "Hey, what do I got to do to get in on this?" He was like, "Just come with me to the next show, and like we'll get you rocking and rolling." And that was like it. So after that, I had my first match March 21st of 2014. So I've been going at it for 6 years. And whenever I first started, it was kind of like a hobby. just to kind of like give me something to do, because like I said, sports all my life. And then I started picking it up more and more, like with more monthly shows. Then it turned into like more weekly shows. And then I started traveling a little bit more and doing a little bit better. Started selling merch, and I was like seeing that I could like potentially like make money doing this, getting to like travel all over the country and eventually the world, getting to do things that I wouldn't get to do having a regular job, which growing up, I never wanted a regular job anyway, because I'm trying to play football.
Right.
Now I'm a pro wrestler, and I think it was probably like 2016 after I was a couple years in. I went to Philadelphia. Ring of Honor was doing one of their camps and tryout seminars. I attended that, and it was like really eye-opening because I thought I was going to be the worst person there, and then I wasn't, and I was like, maybe I've got something in this. Maybe I'm a lot better. Maybe I could be a lot better than what I think I am.
Hey, all right.
After like I had some like really good like words of encouragement from like some of the like coaches that was there, like Delirious, Adam Cole, the Briscoe brothers, Kevin Kelly, Cheeseburger, like all of those
Cheeseburger.
guys. I love Burger. All those guys, like meeting them. Oh, Brutal Bob Evans and Tough Tim Hughes, those guys were there. I love Brutal Bob. Like getting to meet those guys and like learning from them, and then seeing what I can do, and them having like their words of encouragement, and like hearing it from like an outside source from people who's like doing it and like living off of it. It opened my eyes and made me want to take it even more seriously. So after that, it's basically been, as they say, balls to the wall for the last 4 years.
Wow. So, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I was also curious as to like, all those people that you mentioned, you heard those encouraging words. Did any one of them or even anybody else give you some sort of piece of advice that you really took to heart as you've been going balls to the wall, as you say, for the past 4 years?
Brutal Bob Evans, he always says, don't just like run off to the circus. Always have like a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just go blindly and do chase after your dream, because it may not work out. So like at least like plan it out and be smart with it. Also from like where I was at that point, whenever I was there, someone at the camp asked Kevin Kelly, they asked him something about using promoters, but like not necessarily like using them in a bad way, but like using them to help get yourself like farther in wrestling. And because they felt like they had been just being used themselves. It's like people just assuming that like whenever you get like a home fed in like some areas, they never really ask if you're available on dates. They just assume you are, and they just go ahead and book you. That's a thing that I've like been a part of before. And Kevin Kelly said, you use them, don't let them use you, and make your money. And that was like a big thing that like stuck with me too. And that's kind of like something that's like been like in the back of my head. It's like we can like mutually use each other, like as wrestler, promoter,
right?
But like I'm not gonna like let them whore me out, basically.
Right. You make your own whore decisions.
Yeah.
They don't let them whore you out. There you go. I like that. A little bit of independence. You got to have that. You got to take control. It's a great piece of advice. I'm curious too about when you developed your, in-ring style and your in-ring persona and your character. What makes Crash Jaxon Crash Jaxon? Like what was like your mentality behind like I'm going to create this and I'm going to do or be like this in the ring? I'm curious as to kind of the backstory behind it.
Well, a lot of it kind of like stems from my athletics from whenever I was younger, like in high school and things like that, playing basketball and football. Because like I'm shorter, I'm a thicker build guy, and you would think that I would be I'm slow, but I'm not. I'm like deceptively like fast and quick and very explosive. Because in high school I played running back, and I was playing at like 235 pounds, which is like very big for like the area that I played in, because most running backs there were 170 pounds to maybe 210. If anyone, because like if anyone was ever bigger than that, they were moved to something else.
Sure.
Because normally you put like probably your fastest player at running back. So, but like I was that big and still running. My best 40 time was like a 4.8 in the 40-yard dash. So like I wasn't sacrificing any like speed or quickness for my size. And I feel like I've like translated that into wrestling, because yeah, I can like pick people up and throw them around and things like that, but I don't want to be like the stereotypical like short, stocky guy. I want to be able to be explosive and just kind of lull you, and then all of a sudden, boom, smack. So it's just sort of like boom, like you take it slow, and then out of nowhere, just pop, 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 pop real quick, and then it kind of slows back down again. And I feel like my years of playing football and basketball and using like that has helped me develop my in-ring style. And watching a lot of guys that like also have similar styles, and then blending styles of like guys that are like heavyweights and cruiserweights, and kind of like trying to blend that together, I feel like that's helped me basically put my style together, because I don't feel like I'm like any one particular thing, which
right, yeah,
I feel like that's will make me like valuable, because I can do anything.
Well, which is excellent. You want to be versatile, and I think that you definitely have that. And watching you wrestling, Wrestling Revolver and Rockstar Pro and tag teaming punks, right?
Yes.
And the last thing I saw you in was Impact last December in that 5-way. I remember seeing you in there, and I was like, damn, dude, like you can do so many different things. And I love that about, as a fan, right? Being a fan of wrestlers, I like people who can do multiple things, or I won't say stuck in one thing, right? Because people can just be specialists and just rule at one thing. And that's great.
Yeah, of course.
But I love to watch someone who I can see tagging and love them tagging, or I can see them in singles killing it and love them that way too. And I'm curious as to your experience, because you have such a great tag with the punks and Christian Cobain. It's so cool. And then your singles run. So speak a little bit about tag team wrestling and what it's like to kind of go back and forth between tagging and being in singles.
Well, majority of my career I have been a tag team wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So probably 5 out of the 6 years I've been going at this, I've been a tag team wrestler. My initial tag partner, Henry Shaw, he's also like one of my original trainers. Like he helped have a hand in training me whenever I first started. Cool. And me and him tagged together for probably 4 years. And then I made the move to Dayton. And so then like we weren't able to like travel together as much, because we weren't like going to the same shows as often anymore. And after I moved up here, Cobain also moved not very shortly after I did, and then we were kind of we were put together, and we both weren't very happy about it, because we were both initially we both were predominantly tag team wrestlers already, and we were like wanting to like get out of that and be
right.
But we had a conversation, and we're like, you know what, let's make the best out of this, because if this could get us a job on TV somewhere, we're gonna ride it, because whenever it comes time, we want to be able to do anything. And there's a million singles wrestlers, but there's only so few like good tag teams. So that was like our mindset. So like that kind of makes us that we were thinking that would make us more valuable to like an Impact or a Ring of Honor or whoever if being a tag team. And it basically at first it was like very growing pains ish. Cause like we were roommates, so me and Cobain like butted heads on everything.
Man.
All the ideas for like our tag team moves and sequences, how we would do our entrance, ideas for music and t-shirts and all kinds of stuff like that. And even stuff that not wrestling related. Like we argued about food, working out, what we were going to watch on TV, just all kinds of stuff. It was a constant argument, but it was like a brotherly thing. It's like, okay, like we're at each other's throats right here. And then it's like, hey man, let's go get Taco Bell and figure this out. And it's like, all right, let's go. And so then it's be back like nothing happened. So it was like that brotherly thing. And I feel like us like living together and training together, like and traveling together helped build a chemistry in the ring. And then I believe that helped our like really strong run that we had last year.
Yeah.
It's like that brotherly kind of like brotherly love, I guess that's the best way to put it, you know, because like some of the greatest tag teams of all time were like they're brothers, like brother tag teams like the Hearts and the Usos and guys like that. So we kind of had that, even though we weren't related at all. But people meeting us and not knowing anything about us, they would have probably thought that we were because of how we acted with each other. Because it was like seeing two brothers like hanging out with each other.
Yeah, y'all have great chemistry and clearly a great friendship. And even though you butt heads, that's all right. Friends should butt heads. You can't be all rainbows all the time.
No, it's not. It's never going to be rainbows. Like
that's right.
If it was, one of you are probably lying.
True. Or one of you just didn't care as much and let the other one win.
Yeah. And whenever me and Cobain argued, it was always like, it was always the bitter end about who was right and who was wrong. Always. And I always agged it on. I always tried to like get my point across, and he would finally have gave up and just said whatever, but I would still keep going at him. But I'm super competitive. I have to win. So
all right. You got that mentality. That's all right. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You spoke a little bit about in your story about that, about, you know, arguing over, you know, merch and all that stuff. I've always been really curious about this because I'm super into like gear, wrestling gear. How do you go about choosing that? Like, not so much like your colors per se, but that's very important, I think, too. But like pants or trunks or like a high boot or a low boot. Like, how do you go about deciding? Is it like comfort or like your personal style gets into that? I've always been super curious about it.
For me, it's like a mixture of comfort and personal style. And like, what would Crash Jaxon wear, basically?
Yeah, right.
I started off, I wore like a high boot, and then it went to like kind of a shorter boot, and I was wearing like tights. I wore like the pleather shorts whenever I first started. I went from that to biker shorts and then to long tights. And then it went from that to torn up cargo shorts to joggers. Went to the skinny tore up jeans that I wore with Cobain. While we were the Punks. And I went from a boot guy to a kick pad guy. So it really just kind of, for me, it goes with who is Crash Jaxon at that time, because it's always ever changing all the time.
Sure.
So it's a mixture of what would Crash wear and comfort and what will help me perform better in the ring. And I don't know why it took me so long to wear kick pads and wrestling shoes. So, because they're so light and like airy, like the boots I've had were like they weren't heavy at all, but like the difference
It's big.
It's big, and so like I feel like that helps me move around even like better like that. And for me, I love picking a style, like a look, and then having like a bunch of different colors in that like style. If that makes any sense. Well,
yeah, that does. Yeah.
Whenever I was growing up watching wrestling, like guys like Eddie Guerrero and like Ric Flair, Chris Jericho, they had like that one look, but they had all these different colors of that same style, and I love that because like very rarely would you see them wear like the same thing like 2 weeks in a row. So
Right.
I love that. So that's the reason why with like my current gear, I have red, I've got purple, I've got black, I've got white, I've got gray, I've got like a military green, I've got like a black that's got like silver paint splatter on it. So, and I've got like multiple different jackets that go with those. I got different like headbands that I wear, different bandanas that like go along with it, different like t-shirts that I feel like goes best with like certain outfits. So it's just like looking fresh and looking professional. So it's not like I'm not wearing the same thing all the time.
Oh,
So
I
then
love
it
that.
keeps looks fresh.
Yeah, it's cool too. It's fun to see that. I love watching, and you brought it up with like Flair and the robes and the different colors, and Charlotte does that now, and just watching like, oh God, like what's she gonna come out with next? And it is so cool because it's the same style, but you can protrude such a different vibe with whatever color you're wearing. I love that. Hashtag wrestling fashion. Yes.
Yes.
So it's Friday night. Okay. You feel like you want to be a fan of wrestling. What are you watching?
If there's not any sort of live pay-per-view going on that I can watch, then I'll probably get on the network and watch some old stuff from like the 90s, like Attitude Era. Probably a classic pay-per-view. I love watching Rumbles. Rumbles are it's like my favorite pay-per-view.
Me too.
I just love that like excitement of like not knowing who's coming out at what number.
Right.
So it's like that shock factor that whenever like this year when Edge came out, holy shit.
The feels, right?
I lost my mind.
I love it.
Like things like that, like that's genuine reactions because they played that so perfectly. It's like no one had any idea, and it was so great. And it's like things like that that make it great. And probably if I'm not watching a Rumble, I'll probably rewatch some like Rock Austin WrestleMania stuff.
Yes.
I like watching Elimination Chambers and Hell in a Cells as well. I love watching multi-man matches because there's like so many different elements that can happen. And it's hard for me to watch as a fan anymore, but sometimes I get lost in it. But most of the time it's usually for like studying purposes.
Right.
But there's been a few times. There's only like a handful of matches like recent memory that's like really like got me like truly invested. And
what was that?
One of the most recent ones that I had watched was Keith Lee and Donovan Dijakovic.
Oh, yes.
The last takeover that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That one was like, every time they get like a big pinfall, I thought that was it. And like, I never like bite on those. Like, they're like, oh, that's not the finish. And then, wait, what? That like, it was getting me, and I was like, it was getting me invested. And it's very rare that I get that. And whenever I can get that, it makes me enjoy and like love the match even more. Whenever like I can get like emotionally invested like that. Whenever they're getting me with the false finishes and things like that. It's
Ah.
so great. It makes me like brings the fan back out of me.
That's good. That's what it should do in a lot of ways. And I feel like that one especially, I think it was Portland, Takeover Portland, and they oh my God, they just like those two when they were on the indie scene were absolutely insane, and it was so fun to see them on NXT Takeover, like showing out like that. And it was everybody. I feel like we were all watching it, my friends and I together, and then people on Twitter and social media like were losing it because it was fun. It was fun to be invested in wrestling, and we love to watch people who are that excited about it and put on such a freaking showcase.
Oh yeah, and
it was awesome.
It makes it fun for me because they're big guys and they're doing
yeah.
stuff. They're doing stuff that guys that are like 200 pounds or less, like what they're doing. So that's like, if they can do that, I can do that. And so like,
Hell yeah.
like some of like some of my stuff that like helps me be creative when it comes to like doing things in the ring and like that. I watch those two guys are two guys that I watch 100%. If it's just something small to like kind of get from and try to like tweak it and make it my own, those two are like on the top of the list of guys that I watch.
That's awesome. I mean, the two great ones too, and super, super fun. And now that, eventually in the future, it gets you excited. I know you want to go back in wrestling. What are your goals kind of post-quarantine?
My goals for post-quarantine, I want to go to more places that I haven't been, whether it be new states, new countries, new nationally televised wrestling companies. Like I have a sticky note right here that's in front of my computer, and it has my two main goals, and it's my only two goals that are like that I'm going for right now. It says travel internationally and earn a contract. And so that's like top of the list. And I feel in my heart of hearts that those two things are very doable. And so that's like what I'm going after. And that's the reason why I've been like busting my ass so hard right now during this quarantine, trying to change my body to make me more TV ready, get my wind up so I can go longer and harder. So it's just it's a process, and I know it, and it's going to be worth it whenever I'm able to put check marks next to those.
Hell yeah. And I'll be excited for you, and I know everyone who's your fan will be excited for you too. And I think they're more than possible, buddy. I think so.
So thank you.
You are welcome. So, my friend, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today. I cannot thank you enough for coming to hang out with me and just have this little informal chat. But I'd love for people to know where they can find you and all that good information so they know, hey, I got to go follow this guy right now.
Alrighty, so all of my social media handles are under @the Crash Jaxon. That's Jaxon. My Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, my Patreon, and my pro wrestling tees. It's all @the Crash Jaxon. So like it's very simple. You can just copy and paste that in all of those and find me. I'm trying to get like very good content put out daily. With that, I'm slowly starting to build stuff to like put up on my YouTube channel, so I'll be more active on that. But also you get to see more behind the scenes stuff, like what I'm doing and how I'm doing it on my Patreon, plus a whole lot more. And like the tiers on that, I believe I have that set as little as $3 a month. So it's very affordable, and it helps me. Like every little bit helps. Even if you just like go on my Twitter and you retweet something, I appreciate every retweet, like, follow, anything. So I just love like the support that I can get from anybody, because I want to be that like kind of beacon of hope for people whenever they like they're having a bad day and they can go look at my social media or watch one of my matches and like help them forget about the bad stuff, even if it's just for like 10 or 15 minutes. And so I greatly appreciate any bit of support that anybody gives me.
Well, you know what? I'm going to link everything, of course, so everyone can go do just that. And I promise you, I've never steered you wrong. I'm telling you, people, you're going to like this guy. Go watch a lot of his stuff. There's an awesome highlight reel from 2019. If you want to get a feel, it's on YouTube. I'll link that as well. Buddy, thanks so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Queen's Court. And as always, please enjoy the rest of your day and be kind to one another.